it. I wasn't doing anything special, but I was interested in the idea that where it was going. And at that same time, Sal and I are communicating back and forth on Facebook. And we had known of each other before that and heard nothing but great things. And everybody kept telling me, you got to work with Sal. And everyone was telling him, you got to work with Adam. And, we hadn't really hung out together, but we started kind of chatting on Facebook and, sharing kind of ideas and philosophies and just on all topics too, not just health and fitness, and just got really connected to him. Like we hit it off right away. And I could see why everybody thought we should work together because we had a lot in common. And so I set up a time, and at that time him and Doug were already kind of working on a project, and me and Justin were working on a project. And I thought, you know what, I want to introduce you to my buddy Justin. And he's like, I want to introduce you to my buddy Doug. And, let's all get together and meet. Let's have this conversation in person so we can kind of like put everything on the table and see where everybody's everyone's thought process is. And so we all met at my house, and man, we sat down, and it was fire from the minute. Just every guy had an opinion about what was going on in the industry and not just the fitness industry, but then also, digital media, and then how far behind fitness was. I'd been saying it for a long time that fitness really hadn't evolved. Like fitness has really been kind of the same game and hustle for many, many years. And it's a really shitty one. It's the race to who can get the biggest or the largest network of people, and then you sell them some residual product, normally some sort of supplement. And you just keep pushing these supplements, which I had known, and so did Justin and Sal, that we've trained thousands of people. And when you talk about the getting people results or changing their lives, the supplement piece is so little. It's nothing. Like I never trained a client where I like gave them a supplement and that was the game changer in their results. Yet that's like the most talked about thing in our space. It's all about what's the latest supplement, what's the latest and greatest thing that I can take. And we all agreed, and we all just started kind of ranting back and forth. And then before you know it, it's like 2 hours have gone by of like no silence, just guys constantly putting their opinion in. And I don't even remember if it was me or Sal who said it first, but one of us was just like, we should do a podcast. And then Doug's like, I got the gear. I've got everything we need to do it. We could definitely do it. And I'm like, fuck, let's just do it. And so we literally like the next weekend set out to meet together and let's just record this conversation. We had so much to say about our own space and so much that we saw wrong with it and so much we believed that it could be better. And we thought, you know what, let's just start recording and let's see what it sounds like. And we'll share it with some of our friends and see what they have to say. And that was kind of the beginning of how Mind Pump came about. But we definitely knew that podcasting, it wasn't like this, sometimes I hear some of us tell the story about like, oh, it was just kind of serendipitous and we got lucky and this and that. Well, all of us knew and saw where the podcasting was going, I think a lot earlier than any of our peers. Now, there was many people before us that got into podcasting, but there wasn't a lot of people in the fitness space, I felt, that were doing this. And when we looked at like all your top fitness podcasts, we listened to all of them. And that's what gave us the confidence that we could do it. Was not to knock any of the great top fitness shows right now, but it really wasn't anything that was going to get me to tune in every day. I didn't listen to one health and fitness podcast that I turned on and I went like, dude, I would tune into this every day. This is gold. I listened to some podcasts and I would listen to it and I'd be like, I listened to like Sean Stevenson. I'd be like, oh man, that's some good information. Or I listened to Ben Greenfield. I was like, oh shit, that was some cutting edge science. Or, I listened to some of these guys that were doing these podcasts and I'd be like, oh, these are cool podcasts, but none of them that like hooked me. None of them that made me go like, I need to tune back in tomorrow. Or I need to tune in the next day. And I'm like, we're missing the entertainment factor. We're missing this piece that is going to make me keep coming back every single day. And we knew we had the smarts to hang with any of these guys. I mean, we've been doing this for a very long time. Before we even got recording, I was talking to you about Sal and his brilliance. I mean, the guy he's got a photographic memory. He reads a study and then it's forever embedded in his brain. Everyone thinks that he has a laptop or a computer in front of him when he's talking on the show so he can reference studies. That is literally in his brain. Like he's never once ever have we recorded and has he had to reference a study. Like that's all in his head. And it's just, he's absolutely brilliant. So I knew that we had this brilliance that we could hang with any of the smartest guys and girls out there in our space. And then we had this unique dynamic between the three of us where, nobody had a massive ego. It didn't have to be about one of us. None of us cared to be in the limelight. But we did have a lot to say, and we had a lot of good information we thought to provide. And we did it in a unique and entertaining way, we felt. And so we put them out there, and we kind of started sharing them with some people that we knew that were friends of ours or that were in the health and fitness space. And everybody kind of wrote back to us like, yeah, I would totally listen to this. This is cool. I tell you what, nobody was like, oh my God, this is gold. Like definitely didn't hear that. Like nobody turned around and been like, this is the best thing I ever heard. Like we were very, very rough. I don't know how far back you've listened or not.
I've listened to the first couple ones, but that's what totally brought me to your guys' podcast was I listened to Ben Greenfield. That's how I found out about you guys. I listened to your guys' like first collab, and then I started listening to you guys, and you brought this whole like locker room, you guys call it locker room talk, where you just kind of banter back and forth. And then I was there for the fitness information, but I like grew to like your guys' personality and dynamic that you guys brought to the table with each other and the good information at the end of each podcast. So I'm like, man, these guys are super relatable, which is something that I'm trying to bring to this podcast, where I pretty much got on the mic and just said, hey, I'm going to, I pretty much put it out there. I'm like, I don't know how to do this. I want to do this because I'm into the information, and seeing your guys' platform really inspired me to do that, which was amazing to see.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head. That's definitely the magic behind the show, is that it's relatable. We're very transparent. I think that I also think that this is key too. So you talk about things that we did that were timing is key, right? Timing is everything in business. And, I think we got into the space at the right time. And I think our message is the right message at the right time also. I think we are being inundated right now in the last 3 to 5 years with this fake, social media world where I post all the best images of me. I post how amazing my life is. I cut and I edit out when I fuck up on words, or I cut and edit out so I sound smarter, or I speed it up so I sound smarter, or, if I said something that was wrong, I get rid of that. Like, we're in this Photoshop cut and edit world. And, I think it was cool at first, but I think more and more people are seeking real. And I think that in this world of fake and Photoshop, I think it's going to become more important to be more authentic and more real, because it's too easy to be found out. Like it's too easy to find out that, oh shit, you're really not that smart, or you're really not that good looking. When you don't have your fucking, filter on you, you don't look anything like that. And so I think that, Mind Pump coming out and saying, hey, listen, we're going to get on this show, and you know what? We're not going to edit. We're not going to cut anything out of this show. We're going to be who we are. We're not going to be unapologetic about it. And we're going to share it. But we did come with this idea of we're going to give first. Like, so we knew that, like, we weren't going to be a bunch of assholes either and just come on here and just be like, oh, speak our mind and tell people what it is and build a business that way. Like, no, like we had a lot of good information that we think that was counter to what was being put out there, and thought we're just going to share and give and provide. So I think, anything in business, right, it always comes down to value and price. And so if you can build such incredible value for your audience or your listeners or whatever you're building, if you can build enough value, then the price shouldn't be that challenging, or to sell and monetize should not be that challenging. And, I've been interviewed many times and talked about this with people that when we first started, we did 100 and almost 200 episodes before we even started monetizing. That's a lot of work, a lot of hours, a lot of free information that we provided for people before we even thought about turning on the monetization. And we had the stuff we had stuff to sell if we wanted to, but we didn't want to come out like that. We didn't want to be like, oh, we're doing all this to gain your attention so we could sell you this. It was like, no, we're here. We have a message and we have a mission, and we're going to do that first. And listen, if there's a bunch of people that join on board and they see the value in that, well, money will come later. And we really believed in that vision and stuck with it all the way through. And it really did pay off, because after about a year, and it was before a year, but a year was when it got to a point where we all looked at each other and said, okay, it's time now. It's time that we start providing, something for people to purchase, because we were getting, tons of emails and DMs and messages from people saying, we would love for you guys to write a program. What if you guys were to write a program, what would it look like? What would it look like? And so once we got that, where we were so overwhelmed with that question, it was like, okay, now let's provide that for them. And then when we provided it, it was nuts. We had so many people would buy the program, and then they would message us and say, oh, I'm totally following this other program right now, or, I didn't even open it, but I feel I owe you guys so much for the last year of my life and all the information and how much you've changed and benefited my life, that anything you sell, I plan to buy. And that to me was that, like, okay, we're doing it. We're doing the right thing. We're doing this right. Because all the businesses that I've built and done, I've never had that type of a response where people were throwing money at me and saying, please take my money because I feel guilty that I haven't given you anything for everything that you've given me. And I think that's the real takeaway to when you start to build a business, if you have that attitude. And it's tough for some people. And I feel like, especially the generation coming up right now, we live in this instant gratification where, you want to be able to get some followers on Instagram and then make some money. And it's like, nah, that's not how real business works, man. Yeah, and I think I see a lot of people around me that think the formula is just get a bunch of eyes on you and then sell some product. And, maybe you can make some money like that. And I've met a lot of guys in our space that have 1 million, 2 million, 4 million followers, and they make money right now flipping clothes and selling stuff. But to me, when I see that, like, even if you're making a couple million a year, I don't see a viable business. I see a business that you are able to monetize off of all the eyes off you right now. But I mean, if YouTube and Instagram change their algorithm, or if those two companies go out of business, you don't have a business. And so I don't think a lot of people think that way, where I have a lot of confidence that if all of a sudden podcasting, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything else that we're on, all of a sudden all shut down, which we all know that would never happen to everybody, but let's just pretend like all tech went down all of a sudden. I feel like we've built such a strong, loyal following that people would reach out, contact, find a way to get connected to us to find out what we're doing, because we've been providing so much daily value to their life. And I think when you get to that point where you're providing so much value like that, then the making money part is, believe it or not, the easiest piece to the business. But the providing that much value, that took a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of grinding and consistency to do that. And we're still refining that. By no means are we a perfect operating business. And as you scale the business, there becomes more challenges and more issues. And so
what are some of the biggest challenges that you see coming up in the future with your whole business?
Good question. So right now for me, the biggest challenge that we have, it's crazy to think this, is to say no. Is to say no, or don't even. Literally before we were talking about UFC, we were talking about some other grandiose ideas. And this is our MO. This is what happens when you get 4 brilliant, visionary, entrepreneurial minds in the same room, is we are never short of ideas. And one of the challenges that I've had is trying to keep us very focused on a specific part of the business and drilling that home before we come up with another idea. And that wasn't that big of a deal when we first started. When we first started, we could have these great conversations. Oh, I want to do this and let's do that. And along the way, we're recording these podcasts and we're selling some programs and we're kind of coming along. But once we built it up to the point where we have a major overhead with the amount of people that we contract out and the amount of things that we have to do and the lease and equipment and yada, 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 all the stuff that we have. Now, speed and efficiency has become just as important, if not more important, than having these brilliant visionary ideas. And so, and why that's such an important thing and piece to the business right now is that one of these great little visionary ideas can distract us for a couple days. And a couple days now in this business could set us back thousands of dollars. Mm-hmm. And so, and that just is, and as the business is scaling, that is also compounding. So, when you start thinking like, oh, all of a sudden, let's say, you're part of the team, Tanner, and you go, man, I got this great idea, Adam. We're going to create this event and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And you got all these brilliant, and it's a brilliant idea. I'm like, man, that sounds fucking rad. But I also know that, my marketing guy is telling me that I need to finish videos to get to him so he can finish his sales funnels. I've got Sal, who's got to work on some white paper stuff. I got Justin, who's on Shopify and getting all the apparel that's coming out the funnel. So everyone's got all these things they're working on. Doug's editing all the videos for the next program that's